For months now, everyone I know that loves gaming has been trying to speculate on what exactly the new Xbox console will have under the hood. What GPU will it have? What CPU will it have? What will the RAM be like? And what type of storage will all of our games be put on? All of these questions were bounced around for a very long time, and for the most part, a lot of very smart people started to put the pieces together in order for us to understand what exactly Microsoft is making. And over the months, we've been able to pull the curtain back a little bit and peek into the future of Xbox's Project Scarlett. And until now, a lot of those little details were very speculative and heavily rumored. But in the last few days, there's been a very reliable source that's come forward and spilled the beans on what exactly this new Xbox console will have. This is being reported by multiple news outlets and may just be the real deal. So I wanted to get into this leak and talk about what exactly Xbox's Project Scarlett has in store for us. Because just like all of you watching this video, I'm first and foremost a gaming fan, and all of this stuff excites me to no end. And if these leaks are real, the excitement and buildup for these consoles will be well worth the wait. So let's dive into this article and get technical. But before we do that, if you like the video, hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. Alright, so let's start this off by saying the rumors that Xbox will be launching with two consoles, it's almost starting to become a reality. Because not only are multiple people reporting on this, but it's also something that's been around long enough that there has to be some weight behind it. And that's how this massive article with all these leaks starts off. Here's what it says about the two consoles. Microsoft is gearing up to reveal a two-pronged attack for next-gen consoles, complete with a more affordable SKU dubbed Lockhart and a more beastly premium SKU codenamed Anaconda. We have no idea what the next-gen consoles will look like or be officially named when the time comes, but we do now have a credible idea of what specs these systems are targeting. If you've been following this type of news for a little while, this two-prong attack isn't a surprise. Microsoft seems set on making this a reality because they want to go after the hardcore gamer, but also have an option for the casual gamer that doesn't really care about having the best possible performance. Instead, they want an easy entry option that will make it almost an impulse for people to buy the console. That's what the Lockhart is all about, while the Anaconda is aimed for the hardcore gamer that wants the best performance for their games they've invested in. And while that's a great strategy for Microsoft, what does each console have spec-wise? That's where this next report comes into play. This is what the article says. In the 2019 reveal video, Xbox Cloud architect Kareem Kouardi said Scarlett could eat monsters for breakfast, and indeed, Anaconda looks as though it will be able to. According to several sources familiar with Microsoft's plans, Anaconda is targeting around 12 teraflops of computing power compared to the Xbox One X's 6 teraflops, and the Xbox One S's 1.4 teraflops. Lockhart conversely will sport around 4 teraflops, and according to marketing materials we've seen previously, it is being positioned as the most affordable entry point to the next-gen experiences. As I've stated before, having two consoles come out at the same time is a very unique strategy. But now that we know their capabilities on the GPU side, it does shine some light on what they will be targeting. As we know, the Anaconda will take the place of the Xbox One X as the most powerful console for Xbox, and the Lockhart will take the place of the Xbox One S, a very affordable console that a lot of gamers have bought. And while hearing 12 teraflops and 4 teraflops is great, it doesn't tell half the story when it comes to the actual power behind these new consoles. Because as we know, these GPUs will be made with state-of-the-art architecture. It will be optimized far better than what we have in the current consoles, so even if the Lockhart is 4 teraflops of power, it will still be a huge leap into the next generation compared to any current Xbox One console on the market today. And as for the Anaconda, it will be an even greater jump in power, probably more than we've ever seen before in a console, and the article says as much when it says this. It's important to note, however, that teraflops doesn't really tell the entire story of next-gen systems. Owing to piles of custom tech Microsoft is planning to bake into these consoles. For example, Microsoft already spoke about how ray tracing will be a factor in next-gen systems, and while Lockhart has less raw power than the X, it will have capabilities that elevate it further than the X in various ways. So let's just imagine for a moment that the low-end Lockhart, which is aiming to be the most affordable entry level into the next generation, is going to be more powerful than the current Xbox One X, which is the most powerful console in the world. So even if a person doesn't want to pay a premium price for the Anaconda, they still are able to get a massive leap in power with an affordable console. That alone is an achievement in and of itself by Xbox. And we haven't even mentioned the Anaconda, which will be 12 teraflops of power along with the other hardware advancements on the console. No matter who you are, this has to excite you beyond belief, because these consoles are going to be such a massive upgrade, and there's still more to this new leak. Here's what else the article has to say about the CPU and RAM of these consoles. Both Lockhart and Anaconda reportedly sport 8 CPU cores targeting around 3.5 GHz, with Anaconda reaching a bit higher per core than Lockhart. The relatively modest increase in clock speed over the previous gen systems may seem mild, but vast improvements to caching, new silicon architecture, and other general bespoke proprietary optimizations will see Anaconda perform anywhere up to 4 to 5 times better than the Xbox One X. If targets are met, we're told that at least Anaconda will guarantee 13 GB of RAM for games, with 3 GB on the OS, a total of 16 GB. The X, by comparison, offered a maximum of 9 GB for games, which often varied based on what the OS was doing. Microsoft also said in its review video that the SSD could be used to throw in virtual RAM as necessary. Now, this is something I've talked about before, so I'll try to unravel everything here. First off is the CPU, which for this entire generation has been very underpowered. So it's the first thing I want to talk about because it's going to probably be the biggest leap in power when these new consoles come out next year. For the consoles to support 8 CPU cores at around 3.5 GHz is a massive jump in performance for the consoles. This is the type of performance we've never seen before in consoles, bar none. Not to mention, this type of CPU will bring great balance between the CPU and the GPU, which has been out of whack since the Xbox One and the PS4 were launched. Now, of course, we see that the Lockhart will target awesome performance numbers, but the Anaconda will again be the slightly more powerful CPU clock speed. And with the new caching and silicon architecture, it is very easy to see that these new consoles will make it almost comical for games to reach 60 frames per second. But one of the best new additions will be the RAM that will accompany these new consoles. It's stated here 13 GB of RAM will be allocated to gaming, while 3 GB will be reserved for the operating systems. This is a giant leap in performance for the consoles, because we already know that the Xbox One X has 9 GB of RAM for games. So to see that these new consoles will have 16 GB of RAM along with high performance RAM that's far more current in architecture does paint a really nice picture. This RAM will help both the CPU and GPU perform to its best capabilities. A lot of developers have asked both Sony and Xbox to give them more RAM in their consoles, so it's far easier to optimize a game. And if people remember, when the Xbox One X launched, there was only 8 GB of RAM allocated to games, and the developers asked Microsoft if they can push that to 9 GB of RAM. And of course, the wizards that work at Microsoft were able to grant that request. So while the CPU and GPU and teraflops are important for a system, the RAM is equally important. But the last thing that was mentioned in this article spec-wise was the SSD load times for games. Here's what was said. One huge focus area for Lockhart and Anaconda is the Nvme Ssd proprietary tech, which dramatically decreases load times. Nigh on eliminating loading completely, games with load times anywhere up to a minute will be reduced to mere seconds as a result of the SSD, and the inclusion of Project xCloud across all Xbox systems will allow you to start gaming via streaming while waiting for games to download locally. Next Gen is all about saving you time, increasing read speeds by gigabytes per second, while also providing cutting-edge visuals that will elevate games to new heights. Now, let me just say, this has a lot more to it than most people think. First of all, you will be able to play games while downloading them via xCloud. That's right, let's say you're a physical game buyer instead of a digital game buyer. Well, when you get the disc and you put it into your console, you can theoretically start playing the game via xCloud while your game installs locally onto your system. Or if you buy a game digitally, you can instantly start playing the game through xCloud while you wait for it to install. This alone is one of the coolest things I've heard in a very long time, because it allows people to instantly play their games without the burden of waiting to install a game. This will instantly rival anything Google Stadia or any other competing streaming service can provide. Xbox is really coming for all sorts of markets. But that's not all they talk about. They also talk about the Nvme Ssd tech behind the console. Now, we already know that the SSD will dramatically reduce pretty much every single thing that's run on the Xbox Scarlett consoles. That includes huge games that a lot of people tend to play. Games like Metro Exodus, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and of course Red Dead Redemption 2 will load in exponentially faster. If we're to believe these leaks, they say games with a minute of load time will load in mere seconds. That's unheard of for console games. To me, this shows that they have custom-built SSD hardware inside these consoles, which will help gamers reach the content they want a lot faster. It's all about quality of life and not wasting time. This to me is one of the biggest upgrades in the new consoles by far, and it's going to be a welcomed one because I can't tell you how many times I've wished consoles had SSD hard drives in them so I can dive into my games a lot faster. And then when you put all of these other upgrades Xbox's Project Scarlett console will have, this truly does make this a one-of-a-kind console. And it's something that we as gamers have never seen before, and I'm not exaggerating. I have this weird feeling that Microsoft doesn't want to make the same mistakes they made with the launch of the Xbox One console. They won't want to give any ammunition that can be used against this Project Scarlett. This console is aiming for things I've never seen before in a console, and it's truly insane. And I'm happy that Microsoft is doing this because I want a great piece of hardware to go along with these great games that will be coming with it. Because in order to get great games that revolutionize the gaming world, you need great hardware that allows the developers to do so. And to me, this console is truly flirting with that notion of becoming revolutionary. But enough about what I think. Tell me what you think about this. Are you excited about these new console specs? Does this seem like a possible outcome for the Xbox Scarlett console? Do you think Sony will aim for similar performance? Which console will you be buying, the Lockhart or the Anaconda? If these specs are true, what price do you see these consoles coming in at? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. And also follow me on Mixer. I recently started streaming on Mixer because I find the community much more engaging and fun. So if you want to hang out and chat with me, I'm very active with my chat and always playing games. The link will be in the description. I hope to see you guys there. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.